This is the Transparency Podcast Show.
Welcome to the Transparency Podcast Show. It is your girl, Blossom C. Brown, and I'm here with my man, Shane Ivan Nash. How you doing, baby?
Baby, I'm doing good. Come here.
Oh my God. Oh, I need a moment to get myself together. That felt so good. Oh,
I missed you. I'm glad we're shooting again.
I missed you more. And
Shit.
I guess we're coming out to the world today and telling the truth. But before we go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that way you'll know when we post new videos. But anyways, you were saying?
Well, I think it's important for us to tell people our truth. Working together as long as we have, I've really fallen for you. So I think you're a beautiful woman and you've really added a lot to my life. And I appreciate especially the raw sexual energy you've brought to me.
Oh, and I know Blair White and Buck Angel are sick hearing this. So you
I know.
already know what it's giving. Oh, Amala Ekbunobi too.
You're never going to get that girl's name right, are you?
Oh my gosh.
April Fool's, bitch.
But here's a proven fact. Here's a fact though. Shane is my very best friend in the whole wide world. We are definitely best friends. And I'm so grateful to be doing this podcast here with you. So for many of y'all that know, I was in a surrounded episode with Michael Knowles. It was my first surrounded episode, but my fourth Jubilee debate. And so I got to meet some wonderful, fantastic debaters on the show, and I have two of them right here, or should I say we have two of them right here. We have Stassi and Scarlett here at the Transparency Podcast Show. Welcome, ladies. How y'all doing?
Good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, child, trying to stay as unproblematic as possible, but you know how hard that is, okay? What about you, Scarlett? Hey, girl.
Good. Hey.
Y'all look so good. We looking fly. We're going to respond to some haters today because I heard that the haters have been making videos about us because we're divine goddesses and we're out here doing our thing. So you already know. So let's jump right into it. Since filming the Michael Knowles video, how have y'all been? What has been going on? Give us the tea.
It's been good. I feel like for the first week or so, I was living in my own bubble. I was really filtering through everything and not trying to pay attention to the heat. But on Twitter is where it started getting so bad.
Oh.
About everyone. I was seeing pictures and videos and clips almost every single day. I'm still getting them on my For You page. So I'm not even using the app anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, my experience with production and whatnot was really well. I've interviewed with Jubilee a couple times since, and it's been very positive. But the way that I think some of my clips and yours have been portrayed is very divisive. I mean, even just the clip that they posted of me on their TikTok page was insane.
Which, by the way, she's gotten the most views out of all of us. She
went
the most viral, which was,
Yeah. And I think that I was a seat filler. I didn't even go through an interview process. We figured that out when we filmed the reaction video with Gilbert. I applied, they picked me, and then I don't think they knew I was going to come in and cause so much trouble.
Girl, you were getting it up there. We were just snapping the fingers, honey. Yeah. I was living for you.
I was living for you. I kept seeing your reactions to what I was saying, and I was bawling.
They were mad about that too in some of these other videos, the conservatives, honey.
Yeah, they didn't like that we had any sort of emotional response to what was being said to us, but I don't know how you couldn't.
We all had good defenses.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Scarlett, what's been going on? How has life been since you've been on the Jubilee video?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really have any sort of really negative reaction.
Good.
There was some people DMing me. A lot of them were chasers, I'm going to be honest.
Oh.
Well, girl, you
got an offer for $5,000 this week too?
Let's be clear, honey. You're sexy and gorgeous, so I understand that.
Yes.
But I did have a couple, and honestly, I would say the ones that hurt the most were from the left over the right.
Ooh.
I have to agree with you. Sometimes that hurts deeper. The left can be so cruel, even though we are on allegedly the same side. What did you experience?
I had a lot of people from the left just kind of discussing my ability to be on Jubilee, like why I even went on. They're like, you shouldn't have gone on in the first place, yada, yada, yada. And like, I didn't even really know anything about Jubilee. I think I watched maybe 2 episodes. I was like, I don't even know what this is. This is just like a media thing. And like, I've had a weird sort of housing situation. So I was like, any way to get like extra money and like see people in my community and kind of make connections because I'm new to the city, like I'm going to take it. So that was like the main reason I took it. And even when I was on there, like I'm not a debater. It's not something that I was trained for, that I really had a lot of knowledge on, but I still think I did a pretty good job for what I had to work with.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Especially the part when you were like,
So wait, that was
like
your
this.
that was your first
And apparently,
debate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never debated anyone before.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Neither
It's-
have I.
And then especially the
Yeah.
part when you were doing this, that, or whatever. And apparently a certain Gen Zer YouTuber who's a grifter who used to be a leftist, but all of a sudden is now somebody on the right, made a comment about that, which was really interesting. And so here's the tea, y'all. So I'm on YouTube, minding my own business, scrolling through, and I come across this video that our biggest hater to the show, Amala, I call her Ekbunobi, but it's Ekbunobi, made a whole
Never gonna get the girl's
reaction-
name right.
made a whole reaction video. We need some sound effects. Where are our sound effects at?
Page.
Okay, hold on.
And what I do.
Actually,
Oh,
Our biggest hater made another video about us. Hi, Amala. How you doing, girl?
Hey, Amala.
Hi, Amala's followers, because I know y'all coming over here to look, lurk, and everything else, smelling like low self-esteem and baloney. But apparently she made this video about us in our debates. And so we have a few clips here, and I thought it was important for us to react to it. Now, y'all being here is just a coincidence. She made that video a long time ago, and y'all were the ones that came through. And so why not just react to the video? And so let's go ahead and start playing these clips, and you guys give y'all opinion, and we'll just go from there. See what's giving. Okay.
And agree on what the facts are of the topic that you are discussing. And not a single individual so far that we've gone through in this video out of the 3 has met him on a fact that he's given and said, you know what? That's true. Except the person who said it's not happening, but they deserve it. That was where he was met on a fact. And even then, we couldn't find common ground on the issue.
True. What about the two-spirited people?
What is the two-spirited people?
In the indigenous community, they are...
He's baiting this individual. Of course, he knows what a two-spirit is.
I don't want to get into semantics, but
so you admit he's baiting.
that
Glad you saw that.
the fact is that there has always been trans people.
Do you know where the phrase two-spirited came from?
I don't.
It came
Please
from
enlighten me.
it came from the 3rd annual Intertribal Native American First Nations Gay and Lesbian Americans Conference in 1990.
Then why'd you act like you didn't know what two-spirit
Coined
was?
that
I'm
term.
like, I just don't think that that's true.
It's true.
Like,
The woman
I
who
just-
coined that term.
Fact check, even fact check by Jubilee. True. 1990. It's kind of like when people are like, when you go to school and everybody's like meant to believe that like Kwanzaa is this like super huge holiday, and like you leave.
Amala definitely goes off topic
I don't even
herself.
want to hear her
Yeah,
voice anymore.
Kwanzaa.
How do you feel about that? I paused it. I don't even
Yeah,
want to hear it.
I think what she had to say, I think it was more important at the end of it. But anyways, Stassi,
Yeah.
so far listening to that, because somebody like Amala don't stay on topic her damn self. Like, what's your reaction?
So this is like one of the biggest things I got comments about, like specifically on the TikTok and all that stuff. It was about not knowing the definitions of two-spirited people. So from my experience, I was sitting in front of somebody who I knew was going to have a definition. I also didn't want to misrepresent. So like, why would I sit there and when it's clearly over my head, try to explain it? I didn't want to disrespect anybody. So I just kind of conceded to that, but it wasn't, I mean, I was non-binary for a long time. That's where I started. Yeah. That's where I started my journey, about, like 3 or 4 years ago. So that was a very large part of my identity. And I did do a lot of research into the two-spirited community and whatnot. So it just really went over my head. And I don't think that it's a big talking point.
Yeah.
I think it's the reaching.
Because Josh, who was on there, who they edited it out completely.
I was just going to say, I wish Josh was here.
Yeah. We're going to still get Josh on the show.
Yeah.
I've talked to Josh already
Josh is
about being on the show.
phenomenal.
Yeah, Josh does great work. But Josh literally sat in the seat
Literally.
for 2 minutes, explained what two-spirit was, and got up and left. And you can see Josh right behind Michael.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people still tried to find flaws in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, y'all don't want to get educated. And I think we just need to wake it up. Like, I'd rather have much more respect for you when you tell me that I just don't want to hear it. You know what
exactly. And I think that was the part that really frustrated me, is that there was an entire clip after, like, I was making eye contact with Josh as it was happening. Like, I was getting that support from him in the moment. So it just was a lot for me in terms of that narrative, because I didn't want to misrepresent a community. That's why I didn't speak on it. And Michael Knowles did.
Yes.
And that fact check, am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yes,
Of course.
Bullshit. It was
I think so,
absolute
too.
bullshit.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Like,
definitely.
I have a Native background. My mother's from Oklahoma. My grandfather's from Oklahoma. So
Yes, my grandmother lives in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I'm Cherokee and Choctaw.
I'm Cherokee.
Oh, slay.
Yeah. Black
Yeah.
Cherokee and Choctaw. That's the cheekbones, everything.
I love.
Like, my cheekbones are fake, but
You look good though, girl. Hold on. We're a little slow on the sound effects today, y'all, so please forgive us.
But, the whole thing just like pissed me off a little bit, because it's like the term was created.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have always existed. And it's like, it was a term as a blanket statement. There's over 130 tribes that have gender variants. You can't just say like, this is what it is. And a lot of the terms that they called the people to were slurs from white people. That's why they created the term Two-Spirit, because it was going to all encompass and bring more positivity to like our being. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
Yes, God.
So it's
You
just
better
like,
say that.
it really like pissed me off that he tried to do this whole little thing. Like, we needed a term. We needed a way to connect to everyone in our communities who are Native, who are already marginalized. That's why it was made.
Well, and that's why I said I'm not getting into the semantics of it, because
Yeah.
that is a semantic. Like, the two-spirited people, like you said, have always been here. There is documentation. The definition he gave me was trying to throw me off. Because what am I going to say to that? I made it very clear when I walked in that I wasn't a debater. I had never sat in a debate before. I wasn't there to debate. The second he walked in and Mason had informed me who it was, why? Like, come on.
Because a lot of it, what people don't know, and Shane's been in episodes as well too, it's a lot of blind debating. So you're going in somewhere where you just don't know. You just don't know. who it's
Michael
gonna be.
Knowles, got to prepare his questions
Yes.
and gets to do that. And a lot of the guests on that side, especially conservative folks,
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
And liberal too, because Sam Cedar was on there and did a fabulous job.
Here's the thing. What is it? That Dean guy? I think I saw him on a live. I've seen him say a lot of problematic stuff on a live. We didn't even talk about that for a moment. But that Dean guy, he told me, or he said on a live that like Jubilee didn't give him the same background questions when he did like a 20 versus 1 versus conservatives himself.
Yeah.
Where he was the main guy.
I think I heard.
He didn't get the same support that like Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles and all these other guys are getting, where like they're getting the video before it even airs and stuff like that.
Yeah, because Michael had a completely different clip even of me. I got posted on the Daily Wire.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
I
They
didn't see
posted
that.
me, just my clip.
I don't watch that trash.
Yeah, I don't either. Unfortunately, I was flooded in the comments, like people DMing it to me and tagging me on Twitter. It was a completely different clip than Jubilee had made, but it had the Jubilee text.
Yeah.
So clearly he had access to the videos.
Yeah.
which
He
is
misgendered me in the video, which they all run
Don't
to
even get
misgendering.
me started.
But Scarlett, guess what? Miss Ekbunobi has something to say about you. So you already know. We about to get into it.
So, if we're going to think about women getting raped in bathrooms, right? It's a small percentage of trans people that are doing it. I'm not denying that that's happening because it is a reality and it's an awful thing for women to have to go through.
I can appreciate that. So now you have a trans person saying, yes, there are people with trans identities who go on to sexually assault women. And at the very least, I can commend that admission.
But then what are we doing about the men that are the 93% of sexual violence towards women?
No, hopefully arresting them and putting them in prison.
And what are you doing before that? Why are men the highest percentage for this? If it's such a bad thing for trans women to use the bathroom when a very, very, very small amount of women are being raped by trans.
You know, two issues can exist at once, and we can do work on both of those issues.
Oh my God, you can't say that and then not actually have the nuance of what you're actually saying. It's like you run into the point and you miss it.
Individual will refer to them. Also, sexually assault and rape women doesn't mean we don't address the fact that transgender identifying individuals are also doing the same thing. We can do two things at once. And
you don't have this energy for cis men, but you have this energy for trans women because it's just misogyny layered as some weird thing because you want to be a pick-me, and this is all this is.
Label the bathrooms.
This is all this is. No, I'm tired of her.
Into the woman's bathroom, you can call law enforcement or security and say, hey, a man just came into my bathroom. But now with this legislation, you cannot do that if we're going to have protections for men identifying as women in these bathrooms.
One day she's going to realize it, and it's unfortunate because it's going to be some bad experience she has, and she's going to see why we say the things we say.
I think we try to enforce our laws and protect people from rape.
This is a cis men problem. It's cisgender men that are attacking women.
Of these kinds of violent crimes compared to other places.
Most of them don't even get more than 2 months if they even get the DNA to prove it. Like, they have no idea what a victim goes through. I've experienced this.
We don't need to allow them to do that. It's a needless risk. It's based on a false view of reality and claims of rights, so-called rights.
I'm so over it. Okay, so who wants to say some shit? Because I'm so over it. I don't even want to hear that. Who wants to take the mic?
I'll take it if you want.
Go for it.
Honestly, it was really dumb of her to be like, some trans people like transition to rape. Like, girl, get fucked. Like, respectfully, get fucked. Like, I didn't want to sit there and be like, no trans person is like ever raping somebody. I didn't want to say like they were a cis man, like dressed as a woman, because like I don't know who they are. I'm not going to validate or invalidate their transness. So there's a possibility it could happen. So we'll just say it happened and like call it a day. Even though we know from like our lived experiences that like trans women are the least likely to sexually assault another woman of any kind. So I was like, all right, here we go. We're gonna start with this. And then, you know, she's talking about the whole bathroom sign things. And I love when they do this. They leave out the clips like of Michael being like, well, it doesn't really matter about the signs because a man could just walk in, but she's not going to talk about that.
No, it's convenient.
Yeah. It's because she doesn't have the intellectual capacity to talk about that.
Or she's trying to create the narrative purposely because that's what she does to feed her audience. I mean, it's rage.
It's wild because I got sent actually your clip of that by somebody from the right. And they had sent me a newspaper article of some like gay couple, like assaulting a kid. And I just went onto Google and I looked up church member assaults child.
Oh my God.
50 different articles came up. And so I sent him like 5 and I'm like, get fucked. Quote Scarlett.
That's how you have to do it. Like that's how you have to do it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, she naturally spews hate. And then I think she weaponized her base to go out and attack us because they attack us all the time. And you know, she, Blair White, and Buck Angel are no different. Just 3 grifters, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, you know.
There's some grifters on the left, though, too. I'm not gonna lie.
I think in one of Buck's videos, he called me a grifter. Good luck. I'm getting booked on your platforms and on the liberal ones.
Wait. Didn't he talk about your titties, too?
Yeah, Buck Angel was talking about my titties on Pierce. Because apparently, I had this moment where I was just doing this. I wasn't intentionally trying to do that or whatever.
You were, bitch, don't lie.
But they just naturally
They're distracting. I'm sorry. Like, get out of my face, Buck Angel. Jesus.
Yeah.
I thought he was supposed to be sex positive, too. What happened to that? Little hypocrisy there?
And I don't even know who Buck Angel is.
Yeah.
Most people don't anymore. He's lost relevancy.
He was a character.
He's just fighting for his life to, you know.
And respectfully, he laid on his back for 20, 30 years as a character in porn. And he got retired out, in my opinion, by younger trans-masculine content creators. Shout out to all the trans-masculine content creators who are OnlyFans, by the way. We love y'all.
And Pornhub.
We support y'all. Pornhub, everything. And so I feel
#FTM if you need the search.
Yeah, I feel that he projects a lot. I feel like he projects a lot because he was the man with the pussy. That's what he was named in porn. And I'm not lying.
He
Y'all
was one of the first trans masculine people that I saw, and I saw him on the Playboy channel when he sat down on the couch. I don't remember the episode. Somehow I was like 12 watching.
They used to make him like a character,
and he walked out like it too. He would be like, "I'm a man with a pussy," but in a way, like he used to do it empowering. Like I even kind of looked up to him because I was like, "Oh, like bet like." Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm a man with a pussy. But now it's turned into this weird ass, like, the same way Joe Rogan just like went off the deep end. I don't know. It's like white men get older and they just get angry. I hope Blossom slap me if that happens to me.
Oh, I would definitely
slap the shit out of me.
I would slap the hell out of you.
Slap the shit out of me.
We gotta get
like
I'm gonna slap the entire hell out of you.
You just pressing any button over there.
I know.
We're trying to get them all every time.
And so, y'all, Miss Thing said a lot about me. I'm going to play the whole clip.
Go for it.
Because I actually have a lot to say to Amala because Amala has said a lot about me in these last 2 years. And I think there are some things I'm going to address for the first time here on the Transparency Podcast Show that I have not addressed in the last 2 years that she and I have been debating. And
you guys are actually dating? No, I'm just kidding. April Fools.
She could never. She could never. And so let's all hear, y'all, what Miss Thing had to say about me. Let's hit the road.
So Michael Knowles was featured on Jubilee's Surrounded series where he went head-to-head with 25 LGBTQIA plus activists. And of course, he brought up the issue of transgenderism and trans ideology as he has a now infamous quote about transgenderism. And he actually went head-to-head with 3 trans individuals, one of whom we recognize on this channel. So I figured no better day than today to react to Michael Knowles going head-to-head with these individuals. So let's get right into it.
My next claim is that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely.
Here come the Nazi allegations. You want to eradicate people?
He is one.
Yeah.
Fucking acknowledges he's a Nazi.
To understand that.
Yeah.
He literally just...
You see Amala's face? They hate when I come. They hate when I'm there.
I see that. I think of the fan edit.
She hers powerhouse.
The block.
Go ahead. I want to know your...
Go ahead. I want to know. You came to the channel.
I'm like, you know you love her. How you...
The argument. And of course, we know Blossom on this channel because Blossom...
You're a fan at this point, Amala.
Okay, Blossom brings problems everywhere he goes and is always trying to start drama and tell some lies. If you guys can go check out our previous videos on Blossom and the drama that took place on this channel if you want to know more. But I digress. Let's get into these arguments.
Your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay. I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism. It's a view that our bodies don't really have anything
to be clear,
who we are, that the body
that is not true. I've looked it up myself.
Have no connection.
He lied about this.
Bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything. But if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true.
He knew way too much about leather stuff.
The social effects of that are really bad because it leads to the depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions. And there's...
I see an uncomfortable face.
You mean 5th place?
That is a complete lie, Amala, because you're just as dumb as he is. That's a complete lie. No, don't stop it. Don't stop it. I want to play this out. I have a lot to say about this.
So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Oh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. I don't think you even understand what you say, because when we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear.
No, that's not.
Do not interrupt a black
well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
Oh no, our clip got tiny. It still counts, okay? As a trans man, size doesn't matter.
She's in the air fryer.
That you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts.
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population. And there is a lot of power in the trans identity because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really exist.
I'm not spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience. You don't. And you never will. But
I mean, I would.
Okay, we really got off the topic here because the topic was women being raped by transgender identifying individuals. Now, Blossom.
That was not the topic. That was not the topic. Thank you for saying that, lady. That was not the topic. She's a liar and a grifter.
Go through a litany of stories of transgender identifying individuals assaulting women and young girls. Jake,
a litany?
Oh, hold on.
Work on this topic. Please. You can check out her X feed if you want to find story after story. We've covered on this channel different stories.
You can track all that, but not any of these cis men.
Attacking women and men. If you want to look up one story just right now by going on Google, type in the name Hannah Tubbs.
Okay, stop it right there.
A male.
Okay. So I wanted all that to play out for a specific reason, okay? So the case that she's talking about, apparently this individual did sexually assault a 10-year-old in the bathroom. Oh. However, they transitioned later.
So it was after.
So the transition and the name change and everything happened after. I was just reading about it, and what it was they were a juvenile at the time. And so
what, like 16 or something?
Yeah, but they just got convicted of this at age 28 a few years back. And so they decided to charge them as a juvenile, not as an adult. Now, I do have a rebuttal to that. If we're going to talk, if that's going to be Amala's talking point, let's talk about the cis women who have had sex with underage boys while teaching them in school. I actually have a case right here. And there was actually a Lifetime movie about it. Let me refresh some memories
I can't
right
even
here.
say too much.
Honey, you already know I
went to sleepaway camp. Let's just say that.
That's who I'm talking about. You better talk about it. Come on. We about to get into it, Miss Amala. Let's get into it. Let's really talk about it.
Blossom, I can tell you as a very presently queer young person, there was a lot of older women that came after me.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I believe you.
That were way too inappropriate.
And we're talking about Mary Kay, how do you pronounce her last name?
Letourneau.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was the one that had sex with her sixth grade student and actually had kids with them later on. It was the subject of the movie called All American Girl.
When he was in high school with her?
Yeah. And then she passed away a few years ago. And so what Amala is trying to say, in my opinion, is you're trying to weaponize an entire group of people like trans women for this one story. But are we not weaponizing cis women for her story?
No.
That's what I'm not understanding. We're not doing that. And so for you, Amala, to sit up there and try to weaponize a group of people who had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
At all.
Who will also say boys will be boys for cis men when this stuff happens. Or, you know what? Oh, it's not that big of a deal. But when trans people, which also, another point, it still wasn't a trans person, technically.
No,
technically.
If we're going to play the technicality and the semantics that they love to play, the semantics of it is this person did this as a minor pre-transition.
Correct.
So technically in that identity, they were a cis person doing this. And now you've taken that narrative to twist it. Just so, again, you can once again create this one more statistic because you guys reach every which way on the internet to find the one time it happens, but you have thousands, hundreds of millions of cases of rape from cisgender men.
Correct.
And again, most people know my case. My I'm going to say suspect in my case with DNA found and everything that happened to me. Blossom, you know the whole story.
Right.
I had to change my employment and move and my whole life and lost more than I'm even ready to talk about on the podcast yet. But the way that especially sexual violence happens from cisgender men and the way the system is set up for them to just basically get away with it, because even if, I'm sorry, Scarlett.
Please keep continuing.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Aww.
You need to share your story. We hear it.
I've told it a lot, and so I'm a little numb to it at a certain point because I've used it to help people, empower them with the activism that I've done. I've literally changed laws for this. But like, what happened to me, I was able to change all that stuff. My personal justice. That person got to live their life and is living their life and walking on the streets and didn't just harm me, harmed another person who killed themselves. There was so much in my case that I never got justice. Part of the reason why I even started this podcast, because I feel like I lost my voice through all of the struggle that I went through. And it was part of my healing process. And that's why even though we made the joke in the beginning, Blossom, I really do love you. And I love our partnership
too.
and the things we've been through together. Like,
you already know I love you. I genuinely love you from the bottom of my heart.
What Amala's doing
is amazing.
Is like, as someone who's actually like, and not only that, like when my story popped off, everybody's story of what happened to them in the areas, they came to me flooding, and there's so many stories of sexual violence. And majority of those stories are cisgender men, gay or straight, doesn't matter. It's cisgender men that are doing this. And there's no energy. It's like you say you care about women's sports, but you can't name the top 5 basketball players in women's sports.
She could never give reputable resources. No. If you ever listen to Amala's videos, I've called her out many times at this. And I'm a firm believer that's why she had me on her podcast with Buck Angel, because I called her out about not having reputable resources. Yeah. I'm sorry, J.K. Rowling giving opinion pieces is not reputable
Girl,
sources.
Please.
I tried to Google
can't.
These cases that she speaks so much about. I couldn't find nothing. The whole thing Michael was telling me about the narcissist, whatever, it's something dealing with plants and photosynthesis with the Venus flytrap. I saw nothing on what he was saying, and almost like, that's not a lie, because y'all like to grift.
Because she's not going to check her.
Well, she's not going to check anything. And the people that follow her, that love her and support her or whatever like that, they fall for it. And that's on them.
But sometimes that plays to their advantage because, like Scarlett said, she's experienced the left harming her.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's the nuance? Where do we find, how do we actually support people that are in these spaces? Because a lot of these people are like, oh, I care about a survivor. I care about this. You know, I had reached out to so many people, influencers, back when nobody gave a shit until I really reached a certain threshold. And even then they were still like, oh, good job. Yeah. You know, and there was not the resources. And surprisingly, people that are extremely problematic that would get canceled on the internet, like I was telling Scarlett before we were shooting, were some of the most helpful people to me and reached out to me and checked up on me and made sure I was okay. You know, so it's like, we have to create a nuance and a space for people to grow and have conversation. Because I understand mistakes can be made. Like, no trans person is perfect. Let's be 100% real.
No. Yeah.
And that's why I understand why you were giving that to Michael when you had that. Because you were trying to, in a debate, you're trying to concede in some sense so that there is a middle ground. So you reach a point of communication where you guys understand each other. But with this Jubilee production, and it happens quite often, is like they clip farm it and then you get pasted as, you know, this person who thinks this way, you don't know what Two-Spirit is, even though that's in your lived experience. Yeah. Blossom is the angry black woman every chance that they can get. And it's
don't
like,
even get me started on
it's like, how many times are you going to see the conversation around trans people and not just get tired? Like, we've got and I know it's cliche. I know Laverne Cox said it, but I'm going to say it again. I've already said it before. We are focusing on the wrong 1%.
No. And even going back to what you said about, Mary Letourneau, at my high school, there was a teacher that was having sex with an underage student. Her daughter was actually his boyfriend. Oh, so they were together. It was so fucked. So it's not like this is just like a one time. And there was another teacher at a high school near me that did the same thing. And they were both women. So like, it isn't just trans people and it's not just men either. Yeah. So I don't like the overgeneralization of like, oh, it's just trans people that are going out. Girl, when I go to the bathroom, I'm walking in to walk out. I need to pee. Correct. Get me out of there. Like, God, it's so frustrating.
Correct. But people like Amala don't want to have a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so there was one more piece and I really wanted to react. And this one may be a little bit longer because I have a lot to say because she wanted to know what's the difference between a man and a trans woman. And so there's a lot of differences.
Touch on the last subject before you go there.
Yeah, go for it.
So the one thing that I thought was kind of interesting was like Blair White reacted to me and like she said I looked overglazed and like
what?
She said you looked overglazed?
Yeah, she said like my brain looked calcified or something, but I wanted to touch on that
Get out of here.
That's her upper top lip move. I have not seen Blair White's upper top lip move, in my opinion, in so long. How dare she come for you? Absolutely.
And like there was a reason for that. And like going back to like your story, I had a similar experience. Like when I was a minor, I was fiercely sexually assaulted. And nobody cared because I was a boy. And they were like, that doesn't happen to boys. Yeah. And like men don't do that. And like that was, you know, it was a Christian person. And so I was like, they don't do that. And so when I was having that conversation with Michael, I was very like not present.
Triggered.
Because of the way he was downplaying like the seriousness of sexual assault. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm like, you can see how I'm reacting to it now. I'm like, if I were to continue to like show any emotion with him, I would have had the same reaction.
Yeah.
You would have pulled a Ben Shapiro.
I'm like, you know,
nice to meet you, Dick.
I loved that. That was my favorite. But I also experienced sexual abuse at the hands of a director. And I wasn't even looked at, even though I was showing clear signs that I was being abused. Yeah. Nobody cared because I was a little boy and I was 16. So they're like, oh, no, little boys at 16 are going to get assaulted and not talk about it. And it very much so does happen. Yeah. Like, so you were seeing, all of you guys are, oh my gosh.
I don't even fit the male gaze, so they don't think that like I could even be assaulted. They're just like, oh, that's a dyke woman. Like that's how they see me. And they're like, who would want to have sex with that? But like, check my DMs.
So let's squeeze it in really quickly, y'all. Because I got one more thing.
Oh no, we got plenty of time. Make sure I paid extra for a long episode today. Don't worry. Daddy's got you.
Do we have time?
Oh, we got hella time. Listen, keep it going, keep it flowing. I like the conversation.
I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all have to forgive me today because I'm so anxious to do this.
No,
I've been studying, practicing because it's time to hear my side of the story.
Yeah.
So let's just play this last clip from Miss Ekbunobi.
Oh,
do not interrupt a black.
Well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you.
You made
Here's the thing.
I would never interrupt a black woman.
Think about me as a black.
That is your trademark. I love it.
I am not a threat.
It is.
They hate it. It is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts.
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population, and there is a lot of power in the trans identity. Because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really
I'm not
exist.
spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience. You don't, and you never will. But
I mean, I would.
Okay, we really got off the topic.
Okay, this is where we. Did I push the same button again?
You might have pushed the same
by
one.
transgender identifying individuals.
You're supposed to hit
Lawson
3.
says that's not true. In fact, it is.
Oh, it is 3.
Who are raping these women?
Okay.
Now you can go through a litany of stories of transgender identifying individuals assaulting women and young girls. J.K. Rowling has done extensive work on this topic. You can check out her X feed if you want to find story after story.
Fictional writer.
Channel different stories of transgender identifying individuals attacking women and men.
Someone who writes
if you
about wands is your
story,
point of reference.
just right now by going on Google, type in the name Hannah Tubbs.
Pretty much just stole Star Wars with
a male
wands.
Who assaulted a young girl, a little girl, sexually assaulted that little girl. Went on to identify as transgender, has the whole name changed to Hannah. So we can substantiate these claims. Now, Blossom is going to make the argument that there are cis men who are weaponizing the trans identity in order to assault women. And I in no way deny that that is a fact, that there are men
we may actually agree on.
Oh, look at that. You actually,
one thing.
You convinced her. Look, she's changing. Watch, she's going to be on the podcast and we're all going to be hugging once. It's in the future.
Drifting again.
Difference between a cis man and a transgender woman.
Even Blair White, she's going to come to the podcast too. Watch.
What the difference is between those two individuals, and you can't give me a difference because
let's pause it. I do.
If you've gone through the medical
let's
processes.
stop it. Here, that's where I wanted to do that at. Yeah. No, so I actually can appreciate Amala for saying this. You know, there are many differences between trans women and cisgender men. One really has to do with gender identity, and let's be very clear: cis men do not have a gender identity problem. With trans women, there is an incongruency of some sort. Yeah. And so trans women, depending on what that looks like, transition off of that. Now, some trans women transition physically. Some just do it emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Like there are so many different ways of doing that. And we have to remember the transgender community is on a spectrum. There's so many different things. And I find it crazy that you would even ask me that, Amala, when you're a debater yourself and you can't even look up that information. There are so many reputable resources, which I'm actually going to give you some, that talks about gender identity. One reputable resource, in my humble opinion, is the 2012 book, Introduction to Behavioral Science and Medicine, that says that with exceptions, gender identity develops surprisingly rapidly in early childhood years, and in the majority of instances appear to become at least partially irreversible by the age of 3 and 4.
Drop the fact.
Even the National Public
Fact check.
Institute of Health talks about gender identity. And so there's a lot of reputable resources for gender identity. And I think what you try to do is you want to try to look at things from a practical point of view. All y'all want to talk about is biological sex. But let's also talk about the women, because I think because we didn't watch the whole video, and I kind of wish we did. I love you to death. But Amala talked about when you were doing this part or whatnot, they were talking about Michael Knowles saying, "Oh, you can tell a trans woman when you see one." Absolutely not. That's not necessarily true, because
that's why Ben Shapiro said, bro.
And here's the thing. Some cis women like Amala can experience transphobia the same way we can, because when we talk about genetics, I've talked about this on Piers Morgan. Everybody act like they don't want to hear me. There are some cis women who naturally have higher testosterone levels like her, who had to experience that transphobia. And we're seeing videos of cis women being accused of being trans in the bathroom, being attacked and harassed because of what Amala and Michael Knowles and Blair White and Buck Angel are pushing on the internet. Yeah. In our humble opinion, like cis women are being highly affected by that.
Yeah,
and followed by men, security, like following them into the women's restroom.
Conversations are cumulative, and that's the thing that these folks don't quite understand, is that they're creating the narrative on the internet, and it's like we as a human society. Conversations are 100% cumulative. So if we're all having this conversation and there's a bunch of people that are creating this narrative, of course it's going to start creating this idea. It's like, I see a red car. You're going to start always seeing a red car if you're always looking for a red car. It's that whole theory. And it's like, you're perpetuating that to then create a narrative about trans people, while the percentage of trans people to even exist is still 1%. Meanwhile, you have an entire huge system set up for all of these other people to cause abuse, and you're just silent on it. And if anything, you find ways to co-sign it in ways and be like, oh, again, not so bad, not so hard, or I can see how that happened, or this, that, and the other. But you don't have that grace for trans people.
Check out the loophole. I'm gonna tell you what Amala and them are doing. They're trying to take trans people who don't transition physically, but more socially, mentally, and other things, and trying to stick cis men raping people and all of a sudden identifying as trans afterwards into that, and trying to make a talking point. I've heard it with Michael Knowles. I've heard it with Blair. And I'm like, okay, so I'm catching the loopholes now. I'm catching what y'all are trying to do. And that's not okay. A lot of these cis men are doing it just because they're despicable and disgusting. Yeah. But it's not coming from trans women. No. Trans women are an identity. And this whole thing around transgenderism being an ideology. How are we an ideology when we're sitting right here in front of you? Yeah. That makes no sense. And Michael and Amala are too dumb, in my opinion, to see it.
In my debate too, I was trying to. Yes, you were. Like, hello, like I have lived experience. I'm sitting in front of you as a trans woman. Mm-hmm. I have that experience. You cannot sit here and tell me that it's just an ideology. And if you plan on removing that ideology out of the woman, what happens to the woman?
Yeah.
And what does he think?
And here's the thing, Amala and Michael,
you're just going to disappear.
They play off of trans issues. They play off of making content and debates on trans issues that they don't even exist. I'm sorry, issues that they don't even live. They do not live these experiences. And Amala grifts off trans issues all the time. And I'm going to check you, because we need to really talk about this whole thing with me appearing on the podcast with Buck Angel. This is the part I've never addressed in 2 years. Now, as y'all know,
get the tea. It's hot.
Let's get ready. Yeah. So my first Jubilee debate was called Trans Women versus Conservative Women. That's where I met Amala, and I've met other people there. And so a lot was edited out, but me and Amala were the ones going back and forth. Like, I have to admit, like in that debate, I thought she was really good. You know what I mean? To keep up with me, I thought we were just having, we were sparring pretty well. And she worked at this particular platform, which we will not name, or whatnot. And so, because I didn't know who she was. And so in that video, I asked, do you have any resources? Because she was talking about bone density, and she tried to reverse the question back to me. She was like, do you know the amount of bone density, da-da-da-da-da? And I was just like, no, I don't, because I'm not going to listen to that, because it's not real and it's not true. Because everybody has different body chemistry.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And you don't know somebody's chromosomal count, somebody's bone density level, the size of somebody's heart and lungs.
Yeah, my feet are bigger than Blossom's, actually.
Yeah, they
I'm a size
actually
14 in men's. And she's
they
like,
are,
damn.
But conservatives play off of that talking point, and they've tried to make it into something. And so that was that. Now, Amala, at the end of that episode, asked me verbally if I would come on her podcast with other trans women. I thought it was okay because we had just debated with other trans women. And I want y'all to understand something. This was my first debate. That debate that we're talking about was my first debate. Technically, this was my second debate, but I don't include this in my counts of debates. And so I came there. And so I was like, let me just be open, honest. We had a good conversation on set. Me and the ladies got along. Why not? So a couple of days before, Amala sends me a text message saying that Buck was going to be on there. Now, for me, I got upset because I was just like, these aren't the trans women that you verbally told me. However, this is what she keeps villainizing me for and criminalizing me for. I did say, okay, I'm still going to come. Even though it was not originally what she said, and you have to remember, I'm a new debater at this time.
Yeah.
I wanted to be kind. I wanted to be nice. I said, okay. But that still does not take away from the fact that you told me verbally that it was going to be other women, trans women on your podcast. And Amala, you know you said it. You said it verbally to me. So while you're lying to your base, why don't you actually tell them the truth? It does not take away, the text message about Buck does not take away from what you told me verbally about it. So we get to the podcast. And I was greeted okay. She was bootlicking the Buck Angel. They were worshiping Buck Angel like nobody's business. Yeah. But that was my first time meeting him. And ironically, me and Buck were great on set. We did not argue. It wasn't no snootiness or whatever. So for us to kind of be mortal enemies after it is what it is, because he's two-faced.
Yeah, exactly.
He's very two-faced.
What did he do?
Oh gosh. So it was funny because I didn't catch this till like the debate with Blair that we did. So when we were on set, I did remind him that he called a black trans woman a monkey.
Yeah, Ashley Mary Preston. Shout out.
Yeah. And so like I didn't mention the name there, but he pretty much got canceled after that. But he was got like, so
canceled.
He's like, what? That is a lie.
No, he came to a protest and everybody was like, why the hell are you here? And they made him leave because they were. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. So he's like a
in-person
liar.
community, not online, like real life. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a compulsive liar. And being there on that set with Amala, it's funny because Amala made this slick comment about her producer being there by the computer in case she needed to look up anything, because it was a jab at me for telling her where are your sources for what you're saying, because I wanted to look up these sources. Like, I'm a debater, I'm a researcher. If you're going to spew statistics and spew things to me, you should be able to tell me where you're getting it from. Amala never does that. Buck Angel never does that, nor Blair White does that.
Jubilee doesn't even do it. Realize we don't know until it's produced.
I need to know. That's how I found out that Michael Knowles was spewing bullshit to me in a debate. And so we debated. That was that. I am still entitled to my personal experience and my personal feelings. Now, the fact that Amala does not like that and calls it lying, that's on her. And, you know, I want to say something else to Amala, and I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to truly wrap this up.
No, feel free, because she's been coming for you for a few months.
Yeah, because here's the thing. She was on Piers Morgan a while ago, and they were talking about DEI. I think she was on there with Mark Lamont and everything or whatever, and Amala was talking about DEI needs to die. Well, Amala, check this clap back. Weren't you the DEI hire at a certain platform before they Candace Owens your ass?
Damn.
Before they Candace Owens you out and now you're at home making videos?
Damn.
Making your content from videos? Because you had a producer there, the white guy. Where is he?
Wait, Candace Owens is a verb now?
Yeah. They Candace Owens you there because they wanted to remind you, you are still inferior. You are deemed inferior as a black person. Yeah. Sometimes she's identified as a mixed person. Other times she's identified as a black person. And she's entitled to that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And we talk so much about who was assigned what at birth. Just like Amala cannot help that she has a black father and a white mother that's assigned to her, trans people cannot help what they were assigned before the incongruency. Yeah. And so this whole thing about biology, again, y'all don't want to talk about genetics. Like y'all don't want to do any of these things. But, and let me also make this clear. She also said this. I think about all of us. She said, no matter how much hormones you take, the surgeries you have, you will never be a woman. Let me check you on that. Let me make it very clear. The amount of hormones and amount that I do to my body to transition is not a threat to cis women. And it's none of your damn business. I am not out here trying to be a threat to cis women because I want to live my life in transition. I am not out here trying to take up anything from anybody. I'm not trying to take up space from anyone. Cis women deserve a seat at the table as well as trans women. Trans women are a type of women. Trans is adjective, okay? Trans is an adjective and it describes the type of woman that it is. And so this whole ideology that y'all are trying to spew is crazy to me. All I saw, Amala, in your video was jealousy. I saw a lot of projection. And I feel like you feel threatened by trans women, and that's not on us. That falls on you. I think those braids you had in your hair are screwed in a little too tight to your brain, to be quite honest with you. And I say that with love and respect. I'm going to actually say that with love and respect here, because the thing is, you never talk about anything else. All you want to do is grift the trans issues. You will never be a trans woman. You will never, ever in your entire life be a trans woman or experience what we face. You are in a place of privilege. You are so lucky as a cis woman that you don't have to go through the harassment and the discrimination and the violence that we as trans people go through. It doesn't matter if you're a trans man or a trans woman or a non-binary person. You are in a place of privilege where you can sit behind your little funky camera and say these things about trans people. But the reality of it is, I cleared you in the first debate. I annihilated you and destroyed you in the first debate, in my humble opinion, and you've never been able to get over it. But after this, I'm done with you. I pay you to dust. And I want you to know that. And so that is my truth. That is my experience, and I am not backing down from it anymore. I wish Amala, instead of sending her base to weaponize us in the comments or whatever, how about you actually engage in a respectful dialogue with trans people and not Buck Angel, not Blair White, not a trans conservative, because trans conservatives are an oxymoron, and those that follow you, I think, are lost in the sauce per usual. And because some of those people actually did write to me in the DM, they were talking about you and I in particular, something about us being emotional. Well, here's the thing.
They said we were all emotional.
Yeah.
They even say that.
But here's the thing. What's wrong with being emotional when you have an administration that's attacking trans people, that's sitting up there trying to eradicate trans people by saying that on our passports, you can only be male or female. There is nothing wrong with showing emotion. A lot of y'all don't have the emotional capacity and the emotional intelligence. That's the problem here.
It's powerful to be able to express emotion and even at times empathy within a conversation to somebody that doesn't deserve it. I at some point just kind of put my hands down with Michael and was free of that. Or even like I saw a bunch, like the one that really got me was Chloe Cole. She had a lot to say about me on Twitter.
Did she really?
And she
now,
did.
who is this?
She's a very, very, very prominent detransitioner that was mentioned in my debate with Michael Knowles.
Conservative propaganda.
Yeah.
Detransitioners are not
Didn't
real.
she like testify?
They're conservative propaganda.
Testify that makes like a whole bunch of money? Or?
So essentially, she has come from what I saw, because I didn't know who she was before it was told to me in the debate. She is somebody who was transitioned as a minor, had surgeries as a minor, and obviously was a product from. She clearly wasn't trans. Yeah. And I don't feel that detransitioners represent the trans community.
They don't. And here's the thing, though. Minors can't have surgeries. You have to be a certain age.
She has claimed that she got her breasts removed as a minor.
At what age?
But at what age?
I don't know exactly what age, but I know that she claims she was a minor.
Because a minor is such a spectrum.
It is.
Well, yeah, because they'll cut it off at 16.
I'm thinking it was 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So what'd you say?
I said it's usually 16.
Yeah.
But it's not just like, I want surgery. You know, you have to have
I think
parent
isn't it
guardian.
like 5
and
years
then it's a
or
whole
something?
process,
Like,
which conservatives never mention the mental evaluation that we have to have, the physical evaluation, and the doctors coming in and psychiatrists coming in, therapists coming in saying, Are
Especially
you sure
if it's
this
a
is what you
child.
wanna
Yeah.
do?
Especially
No, for sure.
if
And
it's
That
again,
was
it's
like
yeah,
that
it's
Kim
not-
Petras' surgeon was even
Exactly.
like, I didn't want to operate on her until I talked to her. And I was like, oh, she has this fierce track record of being trans. Like, it's fine. And she's so happy right now. So like, that's how it worked.
Perfect. And I think detransitioners are nothing more than conservative propaganda that Blair
That's
and Buck
exactly how I feel.
have actually tried to amplify.
I don't know.
I
will tell you, I actually, I'm going to get them on the podcast. I've been talking to some detransitioners that are actually positive. They're not always negative. There's a few out there.
There's a group. There is like, and like they are supportive, but people like Chloe Cole who do come from like a very right lean. She's friends with Michael Knowles.
It feels like tell me, how do they all know each other?
So that's
the thing people are not noticing. It's like,
it's funny how he was talking about how they were all together the night before in my debate. It's like, oh, so what were you guys doing? Like, what were you planning?
What's the key?
Yeah, what's the key? So it just was very upsetting to me because I have never ever before Jubilee spoken about anything to do with detransitioners. And so to have somebody weaponize their experience against me who has been experiencing this, like, guys, I'm talking like was a child and was expressing that I was a girl. Like, you don't get to come at me because you had your bad experience.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with mine or yours. However, what was it, 20?
20 years.
7 years. It's like that. I'm sorry. Like, just because I was the one that got up there and had the rage bait click shit that you were able to use to
pay your
further your platform doesn't mean
pay your rent on YouTube.
I'm like done. It just was really frustrating. That was the
You're
one
welcome,
that really
Amala, by the
pissed me
way.
off. So it just was a lot.
They
Especially
get paid for a few days.
No, for sure.
I mean,
Blair White platform.
Without us, they wouldn't have
tanking.
content.
No,
so.
Fuck
real.
Angel and Blair's White YouTube numbers are tanking. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Amala's is too. Her TikTok.
She doesn't make content as much
I
anymore.
couldn't even find her TikTok. I was going to go find it and I couldn't find anything. It all just looked like fan pages.
Yeah, and
Fan
that's
page, girl.
So Scarlett, you've been a little quiet over there. I have a question.
Okay.
How do you feel in hindsight, even though the Michael Knowles situation was interesting? Would you do it again?
No, baby.
why?
I would never work for Jubilee again.
Yeah.
I talked to like 3 or 4 producers about my experience, and the runaround was just not very good for me. Like what the answer they gave. And also just like the left's reaction, I was like, baby, you don't need it then. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Like if this
Can we
is
talk
how
a
you're
little
gonna
bit more about that? Because y'all brought
Sure.
up several. What's been happening on the left?
Yeah.
Because I'm personally missing this. So what's?
Well, Harry Sisson's getting canceled, and I might be getting canceled too. I don't know.
Well, they can't cancel me because I'm in syndication.
But they basically were so mad and like
always gonna get paid,
saying that like I represented the trans community as like a fool pretty much by going on Jubilee. And like we kind of talked about it a little bit, how like there's so many different types of trans people, and I feel like my type of trans was like different from either of yours, which isn't a bad thing.
Right.
But like that's why I wanted to get into it, because I'm so tired of like when people think of me and see me, they're like, oh, you're like Blair White. And I get it all the time. Oh, do you know Blair White? Do you know Brandy? I'm like, no, baby, I'm not like that at all. Like, please don't like make that connection. And so that was why I wanted to get into activism, because I'm like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of going out in public and like people assuming I'm just some conservative like trans person because I fit their idea of beauty or whatever they're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that has to do with living in Ohio. Like it's being passable in Ohio is like you're to go.
Yeah.
Like all the girls, any way to get passable, we're gonna go for it, because you are so stigmatized and so just like fucked around in public for no reason. My first job I had, I barely could even get it. And somebody was like, oh, you're a tranny, huh? Like literally 5 seconds into work. And I was like,
They always clock it.
like, I guess, diva. Like, okay.
Shut the fuck up.
Like employment, I think, is the hardest place to not get clocked. It's like,
Jesus.
fuck, I have to work with this
Or
person?
even like when kids come in and then they're like, hey, what are you? I'm like,
I get so nervous. I'll never forget. I was in Applebee's in Long Beach, and it was a bunch of kids having a birthday party right behind me. And so when I got up, all the kids went, oh, she's tall. And before they started clocking tea, I had to hurry up and get up out of there. I was like, let me go and get up out of there. They gonna start clocking the tea because kids.
Stop. No, they will. They're the first ones.
locked.
And it's ruthless. It's like,
Yeah.
Worse than any conservative I've ever met in my life.
I'm like, the day before my FFS, I was in Whole Foods of all places. And some kid was like, Mommy, is that a man?
Oh.
And I thought I was looking so sickening. I had heels on. I was like, we're about to get searched tomorrow. Like,
baby?
Yes. Got me so
so
good.
shocked.
The mom was fierce though. She was like, Timmy, shut up, girl. Like, be quiet.
Oh my gosh. So, because I know we're gonna wrap up things. So, Scarlett, you have been going through a hard time.
Yes.
You've been open about it on your Instagram. Talk to us about like what's going on and how people can support you.
Yeah. So I lived in Ohio. I was from Ohio, and my chosen family moved down to LA a couple years back. And I had like a housing crisis, 2 of them actually, in Ohio. And I was just like sleeping from friends to friends, like trying to make it work and like going to my job. And it just, nothing was really like working out for me. So I texted my mom and I was like, what do I do? And she was like, you can come live with us. So I was supposed to come down here eventually, but I'm just here so early. And the point of like when I was homeless, I racked up huge amounts of debt because I was trying to stay in Ohio and like keep my job. I had a really, really good job. It was like the best job I've ever had. It was practically salaried. Like I'd never gotten an opportunity like that before. Yeah. And then, you know, I moved here and like I could not get anything. I'm like, I've worked for several companies and I was like, can I just have a referral? Like whatever. I couldn't get anything. And so I've like been dabbling with like hustling and just like trying to find any way to get anything. And it lucked out that one of my old managers finally made a call for me and she was like, girl, like come back and work for this company. And so I finally got something that works.
Congrats.
And then before that, I did have a job, but like they cut my hours to 5 hours a week.
Oh no.
And I was driving. It was like, what'd you say?
I said, what the fuck?
Yeah. And so it was like a part-time job and it was good at first. And I was driving like an hour to get to work. And like I serviced several stores and it was a great place to work. Like I really loved it, but they just like couldn't keep clients. And I was like, I have to go. So like, it's no point of me to drive an hour. Like that's literally my gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you put up a GoFundMe.
Yeah, I
right?
do.
It's on your IG,
Yeah.
right? So y'all, if you're on IG, please go to Scarlett's IG page and donate to her GoFundMe. Please, helping a trans person is the greatest gift that you can give anyone. And so we definitely want you to become housed and we definitely want you safe. And so y'all, anybody that's watching this, please like go and donate to Scarlett. Like she's a wonderful, amazing
Also,
person.
Sugar Baby available, link in bio for Scarlett. You know, Shane as well. If you want to send me money, Venmo's in bio. No, I did get offered $5,000 this week.
Why you didn't take it? We live in.
Listen, I'll tell you this.
We're in California.
My wife said to take it. I might. Who knows? We'll find out.
This is why I love his wife. Shout out to Nicole. Hi, Nicole, sweetie. How are you?
Hey, baby.
I always say this to Shay. She's the more reasonable one. She's the more reasonable one.
Well, what did you say earlier offset about that kiss?
Oh, yeah. So me and Shane were coming up with a skit, and Nicole already knows it. I'm going to tell my man about it because I have a partner too. And so, my man. And so, Shane, I think he kissed me on the jaw. And I was just like, oh my God. I was just started laughing and kikiing. I was like, oh my God, I see why Nicole has been around for 20 years. I see exactly why. In my head, we're like besties. And so I'm just like, I got a kiss from my best friend. It was so nice and so kind.
You felt the bass in that kiss, don't lie.
Yeah. I was just like, Shay is such a hot boy. I understand why the girls crave him and all the things or whatever, but
when I get enough followers, more stories will be told, but I just can't tell it yet. Okay.
So, are we winding down, Solomon?
I think we are.
Are we done?
I think we're done. I think
we are.
Okay.
There's one more thing I want to ask before we go to Stassi. I want to ask you first. What advice? Because I'm sure Jubilee is going to probably cast maybe somebody else. What advice would you give that new queer person that's never debated before so they can go in there and kick ass? What would you tell them to do for Jubilee? Especially if they're going to face somebody like Michael Knowles. Because we know how the girls like to tussle over there. So
yeah. I would just say, like, don't go in with any expectations. I think the way that you and I walked in was very, like, great. Like, not everybody can be Blossom. Like,
That's
and have
true.
that like
That's true.
stance. Like I don't. Like I have a very different delivery than you.
Yes.
I have a very different delivery than you. And I think it's important to spread awareness to that diversity among trans women and all trans people. But just, I mean, be prepared too. Like, it's not easy. Like, the hate is a lot. And I am open to working with Jubilee still. I don't have anything planned as of yet. But I don't know how open I am to going back and doing like a debate of that type with like somebody like Michael Knowles ever again. That was a lot.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I think with me, because this is something else that came up in Amala's video or whatnot, like, why does Jubilee keep bringing me back? A lot of y'all in the comments in our video
many
said,
people.
they were like, raise your hands if you want to vote Blossom out of Jubilee. There were over, that video got almost 100,000. It almost got
It was a lot,
100,000
Blossom.
likes.
Yeah, I saw
And so here's the thing. I love it that they bring me back because what it is I give a defense to the bullshit that these conservatives try to bring at me.
Yeah.
It's like you got to have somebody on the offense and the defense in order for it to be a good debate. So I'm the missing piece.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why I was on Pierce. And by the way, Scarlett was supposed to be on Pierce with me.
Yes, she was.
But they dropped, for some reason, they dropped her. And I wanted to also
Bitches.
make sure that I mentioned that. I was very pissed, but I felt like I handled it very well. You know, Riley can kick rock. She's mad about winning 5th place with a trans woman. She's hooping and hollering, crying about
4
it.
other cis women placed ahead of her. Just to make sure
exactly.
it's very clear.
But I definitely will go back on Jubilee because it's attracting more attention from other people. Because
100%.
Piers looked at our Michael Knowles video, reached out to you and I, and then the project that I'm doing that's coming out. Because at the time of taping this, it'll be out tomorrow. So it's with a prominent celebrity. We debated, but they're watching stuff like this, and so for me, Jubilee is pushing me more into mainstream.
Absolutely.
And I love
agree.
that. And the thing is, it's kind of like Jubilee has the power to be a platform where debaters who just love debating can come together.
Yeah.
I feel like they have the capacity and the power to be more truly in the middle, like have the conservative sponsors come in, do their thing, the liberal ones come in and do their thing, because with Sam Cedar coming in, the comment section shifted
Well,
completely.
the progressive episode I was in
so
too, we
many.
kicked ass.
So
we
like
fucking
they,
kicked
and
ass.
I think this is where I was trying to like communicate this with you. I think Jubilee has a swing audience where the pendulum can
100%.
swing.
I
either
think
way.
us
But I
going
do
on
think
there is
conservatives-
affecting it, though.
But I do think conservatives tend to put a little bit more resources into them, and I think that's what we're picking up on.
Yeah, because if the left was a little bit more supportive, because again, like, we're problematic with a purpose. That's the famous quote.
That I said, by the way.
You know, make sure
we're problematic with a purpose.
Problematic with a purpose.
Trademarking that.
And going into that space, I agree with you too, because, you know, in that progressive episode that I just did, you see, it's so funny that it's like these cis men and they're just like rah, 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 like fucking dogs on each other. And then you just go, hey, Shane, like, hey, Drake, I hear you like him young. Anyways, I had to. It felt like that moment for me because
I think that was in part 2. I have not watched part 2.
you have to watch part 2 because that's really, I was very channeling Kendrick in that. Like, you can even see me in part 1 where I'm kind of just like, because I'm reading the room the whole time.
I wanted you to speak more in part 1, but okay.
I did it on purpose because a lot of the gentlemen, I've had the Ben Shapiro like fame. Let's be real. Like, I got a lot of clout of that. And there were some new debaters in there. And I'm not one, like, I don't need to be that influencer that's on every single thing. Like, if people want to put me on 100%, but I also like to see all boats rise. So I like to see other people come in. And Oliver came in and I heard some of the stuff he was saying. And I was like, you know what? I would actually might prefer a cis man saying this because it could be more impactful than a trans man, because people did say in the comments, like, I thought Shane was a woman. Oh, ha, 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 25 versus 24. And they kept trying to, like, read me on even, like, body stuff. And they were like, oh, I would never want his body. First of all, you couldn't have it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I love my bestie. I did get on him because I was just like, you know, 2 moments can be running concurrently with each other.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because of what's happening with the trans community, don't ever silence your voice to give somebody else that space. I think both of y'all should have been able to say what you need to say.
Well, I took my space.
Shane has a lot. Shane just has a great heart and great spirit. But the thing is, they need to hear it from a trans.
I know.
They need that trans masculine voice, and you are the best.
I read him in the room.
In my opinion, you are definitely the
I read him in the room.
You are the best representation, and I know that you can always do it. And I told him this more in privately, like, don't you ever silence your voice. I know you want to give up the space.
I never want to take up too much space, you know what I mean? Because men can do that, you know what I mean?
White,
so,
trans, like we get that. But in this moment in time, under this administration, you do not.
Oh no, I'm ready to kick ass. I brought boots.
You do not have to give up your space.
Yeah.
Particularly to a cis man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
That I can understand if it was another trans person.
Yeah.
That okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But to a cis man, no. You're gonna have more moments than Ben Shapiro. I've had so many moments. I've done the CNN town hall. I had a moment. Caitlyn Jenner was a moment. This Pierce Morgan, the project I did. Like and this is what I'm trying to tell you. You're not gonna stay on just one moment.
Yeah.
No, I know
I'm gonna say
that.
this to both of y'all too. We're gonna have so many more moments. So go out there, share your voice, show your beauty, your heart, be yourself. Let's all be expressive.
Well, I want to say one more thing, Blossom, because just to add to the point with Oliver, and I will say this as a trans man on set, both sides, even though there was a fight and everything and all of the things that happened and all the mess, please watch it, both parts, and try to. Yeah, it's out now. Both parts are out now, so you can watch the fight. You can see everything. You can watch my read. You'll see me like kind of in the background, just kind of sitting there like a mob boss watching these guys say the most problematic shit and just making faces at them. In that episode, I was able to point out the hypocrisy that a lot of these traditional men are not even fulfilling the promises that they're making traditional women. Like if you've made an agreement as a man, hey, I want you to be traditional. You stay home, you raise the kids, I take care of the finances. And the point that they were making was like, well, if the finances aren't doing so well, actually, you know what? She needs to step up. So it creates a space for a lack of accountability for men. And to me, as I've gotten deeper and deeper into this red pill, content to learn how it works, so I'm trying to deconstruct it and help guide these guys in the same way Hassan is trying to bring them back. I've really learned, like, what was that? There's a quote from White Lotus, don't mean to quote it, but like, it was really recent. It's like, these men are fighting for their rights to be babies. Because the only person on this planet who can go and do things and not be accountable and be accepted is babies. So it's like, you can't sit there and say, I want to be a man, I want to step up, I want to be a leader, and all this bravado in this episode, and then turn around and be like, actually, if I'm not going to be a leader and I'm not paying her bills, I still own her. She's and like they talked about women like property. Like you can see me just slap my face so many times because it's like, that's not how relationships work. Like, if one thing I've ever learned as a man,
because you said the gender roles break down.
Yeah, you cannot control women.
Shane, you're right.
You do not control. Like, if anything, like my wife shows up with me because she makes a choice, because I make choices that she likes the choices I make as a man, and she respects those choices. I don't own her even 20 years being with her. She doesn't own me. We are equal human beings. Yes. And that's why we work together in the way that we do. And like, I don't lie to her.
And
I don't.
And y'all's marriage lasted. Like,
yeah, like
should last. Like that tells you something.
You can't lie to women. You can't do these things. You can't create this violence for women and then sit there and turn around and go, why are we lonely? Because your guys are being assholes. Like, it's not that hard to be kind to women. It's trans women. It's all the same fucking thing. Like when people try to say, what's the identity of women? What is a woman? First of all, we never ask what a man is clearly. And they always try to skate that question because they don't want to define what a man is. They want to, again, push it back on a woman. To me, in my own personal opinion, because I've been around trans women, cis women, women have an energy to them. Yes. Men have an energy to them. It's just a frequency that comes off, and then non-binary people can be in the middle of that frequency in certain spectrums. That's how I see things. Not everybody has to see it that way too, and I totally respect if you can't see how I see things, but I can just, like, Blossom, you give feminine. You know what I mean? You're not giving truck driver. You know what I mean? Like, you're giving, exactly, you know? And it's like, shit, I can look at a gay man and be like, you know, I could top you because you're really femme. Because I'm very masked, because I'm on the other side of that spectrum. I'm attracted to the yin and yang of that. But it's like, I think it's really important for men to have these conversations. And I think to your point about letting Oliver have that moment, I was okay with it, and I'm still okay with it because of the brotherhood that I've experienced on that set. Those guys were like fans of me. They love that I took Ben Shapiro down. They got excited when they saw me. They're like, "Oh shit, Shane's here." One of the guys, the gay guy that was like, "I'm traditional on the red side." I forget his name.
One?
I forget his name, the bald one. He came over in the dressing room and he was like, "Listen, I know we're not on the same side, but I'm such a fan of yours." So it's like,
that's beautiful.
there was brotherhood. And as a trans man, like, we don't see that. We don't see trans men genuinely put into male spaces and dabbed up and respected. And I'm willing to go into those spaces. I'll kick your ass at basketball. I'll kick your ass at golf. I'll race you at Mario Kart. I'll do all that dirt bike bullshit. And, you know, just give me the opportunity to show up and have trans masculine voices in those spaces. And I do appreciate how those guys treated me on set. And one more thing, Scarlett, because we didn't pass it to you. What would your advice be for folks on Jubilee?
Yeah, just to stay calm as possible and kind of know. I mean, you can't really know what you're going to go into. So I kind of wish I would have watched some more conservatives like before I went to kind of see what their talking points were going to be. Because like I didn't really know where it was going to go. And given the prompt that they had given me, I kind of knew what I thought it was going to be. And then it was the exact opposite. So I was like, oh, well, here we go. But yeah, just being calm and not even really addressing like the hate afterwards. Like there were some comments that I was like, girl, this is making me laugh. People kept saying, did you edit your Adam's apple out of your pictures?
Oh,
and I was like, I was like, no, baby, that's
girl,
no.
you were flawless when you did this. I was like,
listen, they call me fat, but never ugly.
They called me that. They told me I looked like Ricky Lake. I said, bitch,
I did gag.
Fuck you.
I did gag.
I said, I love her.
I was like, but Ricky Lake is
she's
the
my
bomb.
hairspray queen. I'm like,
Yeah, she's
that's
the
a
bomb.
compliment, and you think I look like a girl.
Sometimes those comments do read, and I'm like, damn, that was good.
I know. Somebody
That was
also
good.
commented Optimus Prime, and that got me going. 'Cause you know that song, Optimus Prime?
Yes.
Like, it just killed me. It was really
IGGY.
fun. I love it.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
So, ladies and gents, we have run out of time. I want to thank both of y'all so much for coming on the podcast. We both appreciate you so much. Thank y'all so much for taking your time to come spend it here at the Transparency Podcast Show. Which, by the way, please subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Make sure you hit the like button down below so that way you know. I'm sorry, it's a subscribe button. Make sure you hit the
You can
subscribe
hit the like button too, and the
hit
comments.
the like button.
Hit it all.
Hit the like button.
We need monetization more,
'cause
okay?
you know
Hit
the
it. Even if you hate us.
The comments are going to be flooded with hate. But
You get
make sure
paid either way.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that way you'll know when me and Shane are on the air. And don't forget to take a little time to enjoy the Transparency Podcast Show. We'll see you next time.